Well, after much ado, and once again, I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for being here for this great moment in this William and Mary men's basketball history. And right now, I'd love to introduce to the microphone our Director of Athletics, Brian D. Mann.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. This is awesome. Quickly before I dive in, I'll say that we talked to all of our candidates about the commitment of this place, and you all have shown up today. Thank you for this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us celebrate this incredible moment. I'm thrilled to see so many. The best part about this is it brings together every corner of our community. I know that there's staff and faculty, there's student athletes and coaches, there's Board of Visitors members. I won't even try to acknowledge all the groups that are here, but as I look around, I can see every one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. I want to start just by thanking a few folks. This has been an eventful few weeks. And though I get to be up here and celebrate this moment with you, there is literally an army of people that have been working after hours, overnight, into the long days and early mornings that deserve a thank you. And selfishly, I'm going to start with my wife, Hillary. Please, thank you. Hillary's unable to join us today. If you do a little bit of math, you could figure out it's nap time right now. So our two boys are at home. And not only did Hillary, along with Karen Lambert, directly engage with General through the process, but I can tell you that my wife has given me counsel and guidance throughout this process in amazing ways. I'm really lucky to have her. We all are. I hope you'll tell her next time you see her. To Corey Lockley and to Peel Hawthorne, who were with me behind the scenes, running the department, keeping us on track, doing more than I could ever thank them for. I appreciate all that you've done. I see her here off to the side, but Coach E., who told me a little bit about that conversation. She and Coach Earl were left one-on-one for an hour. Sounds like she said good things about us, right? We ended up in the right place, but thank you, Coach E., for that. Tawanda Johnson and Carrie Nee, who late into the wee hours were helping me negotiate, put together contracts and other things. I don't know if they're here, but I'm incredibly grateful to both of them. To Ricky Ray, who was with me every step of the way, every Zoom, every phone call, every 1 a.m. good night final phone call of the day. I'm grateful for Ricky and all that he did. I want to thank Kyle Bowlesby and Bowlesby Sports Advisors for once again leading the search from behind the scenes that helped us land an amazing candidate. Since we're in the basketball mode, I'll remind all of you that Kyle worked with us when we landed Coach E. That seems to have worked out pretty well. No pressure, Brian. And to the countless alumni and fans who have stepped up, who have provided guidance and feedback and support every step of the way before this process began, through the process, and after we announced Coach Earl. I think this is a new moment in the history of William & Mary basketball, and it's going to be built on the shoulders of our alumni and fans. So thank you very much for all that you have done to get us here. Those of us who know this program and love it the way that we do, we know what it can be. We don't have to look too far in the past to see those 20-win seasons, those great performances, those talented student athletes. We've had a wonderful history here. You also don't have to look very far beyond Kaplan Arena on a Saturday afternoon to see how much you all care about this. We were third in the conference in average attendance at our basketball games this year. That speaks to you and your commitment to this place. Thank you. What was really fun to me is that the larger basketball community across the country sees it too. You never really know what's going to happen in the market until you go to it. And I can tell you that the overwhelming response from people that were interested in this role is how they believe there's an incredible opportunity that exists right now at William & Mary to build on that past, to set a new course of the future, to capitalize on the commitment that's been made by the people in this room, by those throughout our community, and that brought us here to the point. The interest was overwhelming. I lost track of how many Zooms and phone calls and texts. I've never had so many friends as I had over the last few weeks who knew that the media members also had hold of my cell phone number. I was told I should get a different phone for this. I didn't. I will never make that mistake again. But what we heard is that as college athletics is evolving, William & Mary continues to hold a unique place in the market. That our commitment to academics and athletic success makes us a unique opportunity. That the commitment to the program as of late has been felt. They see what we're doing. They see how we're investing. I can tell you it was a lot of fun for me. I'll tell you the story later, but when Brian and Jen first walked into Kaplan Arena, they had been trying to play things pretty close to their vest, but I believe they both looked at each other and said, wow. And so to Jane Kaplan and the Kaplan family, thank you for all that you've done to help us get to the point where they literally said, wow. But there's more. The capital investments that we're making are not only going to affect all 500 of our student athletes, but are going to transform our basketball programs as well. To Katie and Todd Boley, to Jen and Scott Mackesy, and to the countless people that have invested in our capital efforts over the next few years and last few years, thank you for helping separate us from everybody else in the market. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank the woman who has led us through the All-In campaign to a successful close, Sue Gertelman. Thank you for everything that you did as well. But there's more. They told us how they could see we're investing in the growth and development of our student athletes, how we're doubling down on the way we make sure they're ready for their careers, that they're growing and developing as humans while they're here. And they were blown away by the fact that at William & Mary, our alumni have stepped up to make sure that our student athletes can capitalize on their name, image, and likeness opportunities. The 1693 Alliance is going to help us transform that future, and I'm grateful for everybody that's participated in that effort as well. All this is to say that we had the confidence when we went out into the market to aim high. The last piece of the puzzle for me, before I dive into the process a little more, was our student athletes. When I met with them to tell them that we were making a change, I asked for their help. I told them that I thought I knew what we needed, but my experience and insight into the program could only go so far, that I needed their help. I needed to know what it is they thought we did well, where we were falling short, and what I should be looking for when I was out there. And every alumnus who's here or listening to this should be incredibly proud of the way they handled that challenge. I had several one-on-one conversations. I had some group chats. They took their time. They were thoughtful. They were insightful. And they gave me all the tools and insight that I needed to go out in the market and find a program-changing leader. Thank you to each one of them for all that you did. And I'd love a round of applause for our student athletes. As we went out and we started the process with all that in mind, we doubled down on our commitment to who we are, which is to provide student athletes access to a world-class education, to compete for and win championships, and to make sure they're prepared for what's next. And we found someone who has those qualities in his DNA. On paper, Brian was interesting to me from the moment I was introduced to him. Many of you know that story by now, but a quick recap. An Ivy League Player of the Year and record-setting student athlete at Princeton University. Followed that career by playing overseas for a while, so he knows what that experience is like. He also worked in the private sector for a while before coming back and rededicating himself to preparing student athletes for the rest of their lives through sport and study and holistic growth and development. In 2016, he was named the head coach at Cornell and steadily, each year, built them into a powerhouse in the Ivy League. And he did it by playing fast. They score a lot of points. They're 17th in the country in points per game at more than 82. They were 10th in the country in three-pointers made. And I wish we had announced him a few days earlier, but they kept winning, making it all the way into the NIT. And for any of those that watched what they did to Ohio State, they gave them absolutely everything they could handle all the way down to the wire. And I'll tell any of you who's going to be in a Kaplan Arena starting this fall, use the restroom beforehand because you're going to miss out if you get out of your seat at any chance. But one of the most exciting things to me about Brian's story isn't just what you can read on paper. It's not just the wins. It's not just the pedigree and the background. It's what he told me happened during the COVID year while he was at Cornell. Many of you know the Ivy League didn't compete that year. And Brian took that opportunity to look critically at his program, to evaluate everything that he was doing, and he made significant changes to how he was operating, how they were running the program, and what came next. And over the next few years, he was able to effectively institute those change and that growth and build them into a program that won 22 games this year. And that is what's going to help put us over the top. The DNA, who he is in his heart, that's going to help us attract great student athletes. His commitment to their experience is going to ensure that we develop them into amazing people. But his ability, his curiosity about the game, his intellectual ability to evaluate it, to figure out how to find those gaps and create schemes to put our players in position to succeed. And his never-ending commitment to that approach to it is what's going to make sure that we're competing at the highest levels of the CAA and beyond. I'm thrilled to welcome him here. I hope you'll do the same for his wife, Jen, and his boys, Doc, right? Do I have that correct? Dylan, Owen, and Cooper, the three of them are here. They've already taken over the floor at Kaplan Arena, if you saw them earlier today. And though I don't want to go into great detail, I think Jen was on our side from the beginning, so please make sure you say thank you to her. But it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our new head coach, Brian Earl.
Wow, well, thank you. I mean, this is many more people than I expected. So it's great to see the enthusiasm out there. I want to, first of all, acknowledge my coaches who are here and who have reached out over the past few days. It's been overwhelming. You're in a queue of about 7,000 text messages that I've gotten. So if I haven't gotten back to you, please accept my apologies. To Brian, you took half my speech, so great minds think alike. But to Brian, man, you know, it has been a blitz in how this has happened over the last week and a half, and it's jarring. You remind me of how we play defense. Just don't let somebody breathe. And but your confidence in me and in us is really reassuring. I appreciate it, and I hope to get to that confident level when we're out there coaching. But thank you very much for that, President Rowe. I've spoken to you twice so far, which is an amazing thing for me. Your energy, enthusiasm. You got the jersey on. I don't think I'm throwing this on. Those days are over for me. But thank you so much for making us feel so welcome. As someone who leads such an institution, to have them in your corner is incredibly important. So thank you for that. I do want to acknowledge some people that have been there in my life, and it sort of explains my story to this point. I played at Princeton, and my coach is there. You know, I played back in the 90s. The coaches there taught me a lot about life, how to be a young man, how to be a mature older man. They taught me hard work, teamwork, sacrifice. Howard Levy, Joe Scott, John Thompson III, and Bill Carmody. So I thank them for that. I played for Pete Carrill for a season, which was enough. Coach Carrill was a Hall of Fame coach. He used to coach with a cigar and yell at you as he coached. But he told the truth a lot. And so my coach, I remember, I was a pretty good player, maybe a little bit better than Princeton. There's a lot of people who would hate me saying that, but I was getting a little bit highly recruited, and coach brought me in and said, you know, kid, you're too skinny, you can't dribble with your left hand, and you're not as good a shooter as you think you are, but we'll take you. And so that was his pitch. But coach went to the NBA, as an assistant coach, and he came back to Princeton when I was an assistant coach and would just sit with me and sort of explain life and coaching. And it was the greatest internship anyone could ever have. Coach has passed on, but he was a big part of what I'm doing here today. My former teammates who became head coaches at Princeton, Sidney Johnson first hired me out of the working world, which I appreciate, and we built something really fun together. And then Mitch Henderson, who's the current coach, was a year older than me. Mitch and I have a long, storied history of competing against each other. I came in and took his starting spot. He came back and took it from me. We both went after the Princeton job at the same time he got that job. And then for the last 7 years, we've been butting heads, competing. So it's over. I don't want it anymore. White flag has been thrown up, but Mitch we're back to being brothers and not competitors. So I'm very happy for that. At Cornell, Andy Noel, who hired me and gave me the ability to experiment. And as Brian said, we went from one of the slower teams in the country to one of the fastest, and Andy was there for that. He hired me and stood by me, and Dr. Nikki Moore, who's now leading Cornell, and also my players. We had a great run, and these things are jarring sometimes, and so I just want to acknowledge that they'll be great, and this is not goodbye. It's see you later for those Cornell guys, and I hope to stay in touch with them forever and help them wherever they are. Family, my father played basketball at Rutgers when he was a power forward. He's about the same height as me, so different era. Father, stepmother, and sister who are always there to offer constructive criticism. My mother, who will still tell you that our athleticism is from her, even though my brother and I can't walk at this point. But you'll know if you run into her. She's very proud. And my brother Dan, who's a head coach at Chattanooga. In a position as a head coach, there's not a lot of people telling you constructive criticism. And my brother is someone I lean on to be able to say, you went too far. Stop going that crazy. Back it off a little bit. So I lean on him a lot as a trusted advisor, and I'm glad for him. So now the people who are here, Jen, my wife, Brian explained it before. This was, I think this week, I can't remember, or the previous week when we came here. I gave a little bit of a coaching talk to Jen, and I said, listen, poker face, we don't want to give anything up. Like, let's see what's out there. And so I sat with Coach E for an hour and a half and had a good basketball talk. And we had a lunch right after, and we're sort of waiting for Jen to come and join us for lunch. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I send the text, where are you? She's with Brian's wife and a friend, and I had the poker face on. But I could hear Jen walking up with her new friends, laughing and hugging and smiling. I hugged somebody, I don't know. And so we go to sit down, and I said, what the hell happened to the poker face? And so she obviously runs things in my family, but Dylan, Owen, and Cooper are here in suits for the time being. We're at a world record for not beating each other up, so I'm very happy for that. We might have to have a press conference every day to chill you guys out a little bit. So thank you, all of the people who've helped me to this point. Why William and Mary? For me, it's because of education and athletics, and I'll steal a term from a friend, education through athletics. And that's important to me. And in the world we're entering now, where there are words like portal and NIL and everything that has to go with that, having been at the institutions I went to and graduated from, what I know is the impact of a William and Mary degree is invaluable as you enter your life after basketball. And I believe in that, and I've been at institutions where players I've coached, teammates I've played with, classmates are out there running the world, and that's what our alumni will do in the world. And so I believe in that, and I think it's incredibly valuable, the education that you receive here, the experiences that you have while on campus here, and then 113,000 alumni who are out there ready to help you when the time comes. And so for me, it was a no-brainer with William and Mary education and basketball, okay? And so from a basketball perspective, we will recruit young men and families who understand what I just said, how valuable this is for the rest of your lives. And we have exceptional young men here who I promise will represent William and Mary basketball and William and Mary, the institution, every day they're on campus and while they're a part of this program. They will understand the value of the degree, the education, and the connections. As far as on the court, Brian mentioned it. You stole some of my statistics too, so I'm going to come up with a few. Don't fact check, but we want to be exciting. We pressed more than any team in the country last year. And we dictated what we were going to do defensively. I'd like to do that here. We want to play fast. My teams were the 5th fastest team in the country over the past few years. We get it up, we get a good shot, and then we give them hell after that. And I think the most important thing that I want going forward is when our students, our staff, our faculty, our alumni watch us play, they say, those guys play hard, and I'm proud of it. And so I look forward to that on the court. I look forward to seeing all of you here and watching us in Kaplan, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll open it up to questions from the media. As I said, we will hand you a mic. Please just introduce yourself on the first reference, and we'll get to everybody, I promise.
Hi, this is Dave Johnson from Tribe Athletics. Welcome.
Thank you.
One stat I saw was that you guys led the nation in points off the bench last season. Is this thing working? Here it is. That obviously goes hand in hand with playing that tempo you play and playing a lot of players. Is that kind of what you hope to continue here?
Yes, I mean, I think we will play whatever makes sense. And so we played a lot of guys off the bench at Cornell because guys would go in and play hard. And so we played a lot, 25, 30 minutes, and we played some in spot minutes. But I am hoping to be adaptable to who is in the roster. And so it has changed over the years for us at Cornell in the amount of people we play and the minutes they play. But I think for the most part, I'm ready and willing and excited to work with the guys we have, the skill sets they have, and I should do the figuring out about how and where the minutes are distributed.
Okay. Marty O'Brien with the Daily Press. Coach, you're leaving a situation at Cornell that you pretty much got where you wanted it after 7 seasons for a basketball program that has generally been challenged all except a handful of years or so for 5 decades. Why take on the challenge at William & Mary?
Well, I wanted to take on the challenge at William & Mary because I see from a distance in my years at Princeton and Cornell, to be honest, it's a name you come up against when you're recruiting that I would get a little nervous about, especially at Cornell. And so I see the ability to I mean, Chase Lowe is sitting here, who we got along famously, right, at Cornell, and he's here. I'm enthusiastic about the prospects of this basketball program at William & Mary, and so there's so many things here. I was wowed by I lost my poker face when I walked into Kaplan, and so there's so many opportunities here. I haven't offered a scholarship. People tell me, you know, you haven't offered a scholarship. You don't know how hard that. And I go, you just offer the scholarship. You know, at Ivy League institution, we go through financial aid, et cetera. And so there's a lot of minutia that in my world I understand this is an untapped opportunity. I think.
I'm John O'Connor from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. To see you, you spoke of counsel and guidance that Dan provides. I wonder if you could sort of spread that out, and does Chris Mooney factor into your circle of counselors?
Right. Is he here? Did
He's
he
not
just plant
here.
that
No,
with
he's
you?
not.
Oh, God. Of course. I mean, I try to listen. If you sit with me, I am not a big talker, and Chris is. And I will listen to anybody who has ideas that will help in the situation I'm in. But Chris, I've known, he played at Princeton prior to me getting there, and there's a strong Princeton basketball family connection there. And so we have known each other for decades. And I will lean on him definitely. I mean, he has done things at Richmond which are outstanding. And when you get a few coaches in the room, I tend to try to figure out the best ideas that they're using. So when my brother and Moon are in the same room, I just listen the whole time. So I look forward to more of that.
Coach, how you doing? Back here in the back, Mark Davis from Channel 3 in Norfolk. Welcome to Williamsburg. I'm going to ask this at the risk of everybody in the room turning around and throwing something at me,
Okay.
but you are taking over one of the 4 original programs never to make an NCAA tournament. When you hear that, do you kind of lick your chops at the opportunity to get over that threshold with this program?
Sure. I mean, I am competitive. I have a switch on me. And so we will compete. And that is something that's out there that I think we will talk about. But we want to be competing for everything we can every minute of every day. And so I'm less of a, there's that thing in the distance, let's go get that by, March of this year. As these guys know, there's been a lot of injuries that happen, and so stuff happens. But for me, it's the next moment. How hard did you go right there? Are you working on your shot? What can we do to put in to stop College of Charleston? What's next? And so I dream of NCAA tournaments. I played in them. I've coached in them. I didn't get there at Cornell, but I'm dying to do it here.
Quick follow-up. What would that mean for you to be able to do that?
Just give me a little piece. No, it would mean a lot. You know, there's so much put on the NCAA tournament. It's fun to be there. I will say that a season is not a failure if you don't make it there. And so this program has had some great years, and they've come up short a couple times in that conference tournament. And so that's out there, and that's life. So we don't want to necessarily measure ourselves by that measuring stick. And you see that teams are in the NCAA tournament by a kid missing a foul shot or a bad call, no offense officials, or something. And that changes everything. And so for 40 years, somebody's saying we made the NCAA tournament, and you look back and you say, well, you traveled, you know. And so I don't know if I'll measure the success of our players and our program, because they'll be doing so much more good in the community and on campus and in life. But everybody wants it.
Thank you.
Coach Marty O'Brien with the Daily Press again. 2 questions. I heard you had a workout with the some of the returning players yesterday. Talk about what you saw there, and I wanted to ask how soon do you want to have your staff in place, and do you have anybody that you're considering yet?
Well, we had a workout yesterday with the guys, and I think it went well. I mean, I think it is a change in style. And so I warned them beforehand, you're going to make mistakes. The ball's going to fly out of bounds. Some balls aren't going to hit the rim, and that happens where we are at Cornell. But I'm trying to sort of recondition them towards playing a little bit. A lot of guys their age use the term workout. And when I was their age, that meant I was going to the weight room. It was always play. I always played. I was going to play with my brother and friends. And so we're trying to instill that back in them a little bit. Let's go out and play a little bit. And so I thought it was good. And they have a group that's incredibly close, which is good to see also as you come into this this position. As far as staff, it's early. I mean, I was coaching a different school a week and a day ago. And so there's a lot of moving parts. There are, this business can be tough. There's some great people who were in the office prior to me, and they're still there. And so we need to be mindful of that. And so we're working hard. I'm working hard. I've made some calls to recruiting calls already, so I'm off and running. But we want to be just mindful of everybody in this process. And I do not have a staff in mind yet.
Coach, Brian Smith, 13 Sports out of Norfolk. Welcome.
Thank you.
Two-part question. One, coaching philosophy. I know you touched on it a little bit, but that and what kind of culture are you looking to have ultimately that people will see from the court?
Right. Coaching philosophy, I mean, Brian touched on, I played in probably the slowest offense in the history of Earth. And I've coached the stingiest defense in a season at Princeton. And now we're playing the opposite end of the spectrum. So my philosophy is do what's necessary with the guys that you have to try to come out with some wins. And so I enjoy that part of it. And it was not the way it was when I first started coaching. And there's the Princeton offense is sort of this storied offense, and I've stolen everything I can from it. But the adaption part is interesting to me, and I took a leap during COVID, and so I look forward to that. We have some really talented guys here, and I'm watching closely about how can I adapt to what they do well. Just one. You guys should be clapping too. I'm sorry, the second part of the question. Culture. Yes. You know, I went out there also and watched our guys. They like each other and they support each other. And I sort of don't like to get in the way of that. You know, they brought it in and yelled family. And when I see something that needs to be addressed culturally, I'll do it. But they seem to really like each other. And that's the biggest part of culture. You can have slogans and pillars, but these are good people, exceptional people, the people that I talked about before. And I sort of let them figure it out until they need a little reminder from me from time to time.
You're old enough to probably remember this, but you got at Cornell, you said you guys are averaging like 82 a game. I'm not saying you're gonna. Are you trying to be like Loyola Marymount like, or like there's doing 120 a game? But is that the goal ultimately, or you're a shooter, so I would imagine you want your guys to shoot.
If
like
the other team scores 119, I'm all for it. The answer is I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I watched Loyola Marymount, and that is sometimes what my brother pulled me back from. Because there wasn't a ton of defense there. I've watched soccer, Jurgen Klopp. I've watched, everything I can see, documentaries, et cetera, and just plugged it in together. And so I enjoy that aspect of coaching. And so I don't have a specific answer for you. I prefer going fast now, but we'll do whatever we can to give us the best shot at wins.
Hey, Coach Dave Chadwick, William and Mary's sports blog. Yep.
Yeah.
William and Mary Sports Blog. Welcome to Williamsburg.
Thank you.
Just curious, our readership has already been talking about what we as alums can do to help make it successful.
Well, that's a great question. What can alums and fans? I mean, number one is cheer. President Rowe already leads the charge in that, and I'm excited for that. But support. Let the guys know that you're out there physically supporting them. I think Brian will take the lead on this, but it's important to have the resources that you need when you need them. And so I went to an Ivy League school. I haven't been there in a while, but they hit me up all the time for money. And so expect it. And then again, what I'm saying about the next 40 years, be there present for these athletes, not just mine, but all athletes. They put it out there for William and Mary. And so when you have a chance, support them if they're in the city that you're in, or come to a practice and get to know all the athletes, because that's what we're selling them on, and that's how it works. And so in those areas, I think alumni can really make a difference.
Hey, Brian Parsons, Wavy TV10. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
How much is the portal going to be a part of your philosophy to building the roster?
Well, it's a it's the way things are working right now. So I'm learning about it. We've lost a class every year over the years in the Ivy League. So my guys go into the portal, and so they're being recruited. It's something we have to deal with. And my hope is that what I said, that the value of this education is not worth what you're being offered somewhere else. And I know it to be true because I'm old and I've seen what my classmates and teammates do in the world. William & Mary alums run the world in the same way. But for a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, we need to get that message across. So we will use it when we have to, but we want to keep guys here who can get into the system and understand and build a program together. So that's my thought on the portal.
One other question. Are you trying to, getting back to your offensive mindset, change the whatever mystique or whatever the reputation of Ivy League, going, wait a minute, these guys, they play like a Power 5 or something like that. I'm not saying you that's what your goal is, but is that what you're trying to do from an offensive standpoint?
No, I mean, I think, we're just trying to do and play in a way that's exciting, that people, if you see the gym at Cornell now versus when we first started doing that, people are having a good time watching us play. So that's important. It's also guaranteeing that guys are playing hard and fast. And so these guys will tell you, every coach on earth tells you, we want to play fast in transition, but not everybody does it. And so it has worked. It's different than most teams. And for now, we're enjoying it. So I'm hoping to be exciting. I'm hoping that we compete. And all those things go hand in hand with wanting to go fast. And so that's where we are right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
One thing I think probably nobody told Brian before he got here was never follow Brian Mann to the podium. He's a tough act to follow, but I think, Brian, you did an amazing job. And again, thank you so much for everybody for being here with us, most especially our media. Appreciate your time, and friends, fans, and donors, you know, you're always appreciated. And that is the end of the event. And as I said before it started, Brian, I believe we're going to have you go and mingle on that side of the room, and we're going to interact with the media on this side of the room. And anyone who needs player interviews, please go see the outstanding men's basketball SID, Chris Sears, over there, and he'll get you lined up, and I'll help you with Brian Mann and or other requests. Thanks again so much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.